Hello, my music-loving friends. For this craft, you are going to need paper. You can use all white paper if that's what you got. If you have any sort of construction paper or fun fancy paper, you might want to use some of that also. So have both of those on hand. You will need scissors. You will need markers for decorating, and I've just chosen these colors. Whatever colors you have or whichever colors you prefer, you can use those. And I have one black marker so that when I just want to write words or something, I have something just nice and dark to write with. You are also going to need some glue. All right, now if you've ever made a fortune teller or cootie catcher, then the first part of this video is going to look really familiar to you. But stay tuned because I have figured out how to put an additional secret pocket into the fortune teller so we can put a little bit more information in there. So let me clear my space off, put all my supplies off to the side, and then I'm going to talk you through how to make a fortune teller. So we take our piece of paper and we start with it portrait. So this is portrait. And this is landscape. We are starting portrait. And then we're going to take our paper and we're going to fold it from the top right corner down. I suppose if you're left-handed, you could do it the other way. The important part is to fold it from the corner straight down so that then this edge lines up with the other edge behind it. And then we're going to crease that nice and hard. Now, because I like to have my creases really firm, I'm going to use the handle of my scissors to press that crease down. There we go. Now once I have this like this, I actually want to get rid of this piece. Now some of y'all know a little shortcut that involves folding it and maybe licking the edge of it and ripping it off. But again, I like a really neat line. So I am going to use my scissors for that. So I'm cutting right along the edge. And then I'm going to set that little piece aside. That's a little piece of scratch paper for you. We won't need that for the rest of this craft. Okay, and now I have something that looks like this. So now I take that and turn it so I can fold it in this direction. And again, I'm going to use the handle of my scissors to make a really nice crease there. Oh man, I didn't line my corners up perfectly on top. You know what that means? Absolutely nothing. There is no such thing as perfection in crafting. All right, so now we have this awesome diamond with some lines on it, and those lines are gonna guide us in how to fold the other folds. So I like to start with the bottom. So I'm taking the bottom part of my diamond and folding it up so that this corner touches the intersection of those lines, the place where they all come together. And then I'm gonna crease that. And I'm gonna wait and do my hard creases all at the end, just so I don't have to keep picking up my scissors. And then I'm gonna turn it and I'm gonna fold the opposite corner. I like to do opposites. There we go. And then I'm gonna fold it again, this next corner, folding it up to the middle. And then I'm going to fold it again up from here. Okay. So now that I have all of those folds in place, I'm turning it over. And this is a good time to crease all of those lines nice and firmly. All right, so now I have something that looks like this. So now I actually want to do the same thing that I just did, but in reverse. So all of the little folds are facing down. I'm going to make it into a diamond again. And then I'm going to fold my corners up to that middle intersection again, just like I did before. Make a nice crease there, a nice crease there, and a nice crease there. If I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause this video and do it in your own time. That is the beauty of video, my friends. All right. So there, now I have that, and of course I want to make all of my creases nice and firm. So now I have this, and I want to flip it over so that I'm looking at what looks like 4 squares here. And to make it so that it's possible to use my fortune teller, I'm going to fold it in half this way, and I'm going to crease that center line. I'm going to use my scissors again to press it down, and then I'm going to open it up, turn it this way, fold it, and crease the other way. All right. So now we have this basic fortune teller, and let me show you how you open this up. You take it and you kind of hold it so you can see where the top opens up here, and then grab these corners and push together. You see how it opens up? And now all the corners are together, and then I grab it in one hand, and I find the little tabs at the bottom, and I open them up one at a time. Okay. And now I have my basic fortune teller. Okay, now here is where the top secret information comes in. We need to make another one of these. Now you have a couple of options at this point because we want our crafts to look pretty, don't we? So either you're going to use another piece of blank paper and eventually decorate, or if you happen to have some fancy paper, maybe you have some construction paper, or maybe you have something fancy like this, you're going to use some other kind of paper, if you have it, to make your next fortune teller. We're just going to make another one like we just did. If all you have is white paper, well, that just gives you the opportunity to do a bunch of drawing and stuff later. Okay, so let's make our next fortune teller the same way that we did before. So I'm setting this one aside. And then I'm folding, I'm putting it like this. I'm putting the interesting part down, actually. And then I'm folding from corner to corner. Strangely enough, my paper is square. My interesting paper is square. But if it weren't, I would have a little tab here, and I would cut, 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 cut. And then I make my hard crease. And then I open it up, turn it this way, fold it back again, make my crease, make it firm. And again, I know I'm going kind of fast because I don't want this video to be super long, but you can always pause it and do this at your own pace. Okay. Now I'm opening it up, and again, I'm looking at the white side right now. So it doesn't have a lot of decoration on the inside, but that's because I'm going to fold it up so that I can see the colorful side. So then I fold it this way. If you're using construction paper and both sides are colorful, that's also fine. That's not gonna make your craft not work or something. All right. So there we go. You know what? I started creasing every line with the scissors. Man, I'm gonna have to pick my scissors up a bunch of times here. All right. Okay, so now I've got my first set of folds down. Okay, so now that I've got that, I'm turning it over, and I'm doing it again. Fold to the center, mash, mash, mash. Flip it, fold to the center, mash, mash, mash. Do that with all 4 of them. Make sure you pause the video if that was too fast. Okay, and now I want to mash all those with the scissors handle to make sure I have really solid creases. Ooh, you can see the sun coming in through my window now. That's nice. All right. So now, this is where the magic happens, my friends. So we actually don't need to fold this one up into the kind of cootie catcher format. We have our regular fortune teller, and we have our colorful one. And if you just made another one that's white, that's totally fine. You can decorate that in just a moment. You'll see where it's gonna go in your fortune teller in just a moment. Let's actually open this one back up. So I'm laying it flat, and then I'm gonna open up like one little tab of it for now. Now when I open this one, you can see there's a little triangle of folded paper here, and it's kind of the same size as that one, isn't it? So what I want to do is turn this, and you see where this line is right here, this fold line? I'm going to cut just above that. Watch your fingers while you're cutting. So I'm cutting that off of my other fortune teller, and then I'm going to turn it so that these little folds are facing up, because I want to be able to open it once it's glued down. And then that's going to get glued in to this tab right here. Okay, so I'm going to do that so you can see what that looks like. Okay, when you are, so I have my folds here, and here's the flat side with no cuts or folds in it. When you are gluing, you do not need a ton of glue, and if you use a ton of glue, your project's not going to look as good in the end. So I like to put just a little bit along the edges, and I even like to flatten that out with my finger. So it'll be nice and smooth when I put it down. Okay, so now I'm putting that right in here. And now my fortune teller has a secret pocket. Look at that. And it opens up. Oh, I mashed it a little too hard. A little bit of rearranging to be done. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to repeat that for all of these tabs. So I fold this one up. I take my creative looking one. Cut, cut, cut. Make sure I know where the fold is, because I want that to open. Flip that over. Add some glue to the edges. Smooth that out. And then stick it on to the other one. You notice that I'm opening up that fold when I mash it down. I just think it's easier to get it to mash down. Sometimes you have to be careful that you don't move it around too much. But again, it doesn't need to be perfect. It's just a craft. All right, so we do the other two. Open this up. Cut above the fold. Make sure I know where my opening is. Little bit of glue. There we go. Stick that one down. Okay. And then final side. I'm not cutting right on the fold for these. Remember, I'm trying to cut a little bit below the fold, and that one actually I cut a little bit too much on the fold, and so I'm trimming a little bit off because I think my project will look neater at the end. All right, finding my opening here, putting a little bit of glue on. There we go. All right. And then sticking that one down. You do want to make sure with this one, because you're going to be folding it back up, that you haven't gotten any extra glue kind of around where you meant to, because you'll glue the whole thing shut. That won't work very well. So now I'm kind of checking to make sure that I didn't put glue where I don't want it. Okay. And now I have this awesome looking fortune teller. Now, if you did this with all white paper, then now is your time to do some decorating on these tabs. So you can see how mine looks, and I just used other like creative kind of paper. You could have used any kind of color paper you want or plain paper, but now would be the time to draw some pictures or do some coloring on those. This would be a good time to pause the video and do that if you're deciding to go that route. All right, viola players, astute observers might notice that my paper color has changed because I used up the polka dot ones doing the violin videos. So you get stripes. Ooh. All right, so we already have our staff lines and everything drawn in. And now it's time to add a clef sign. Now the viola clef typically has a thick line and then a skinnier line and then the other shape. And because I want to save a little bit of time, I'm just going to draw 2 lines. I'm not going to try to make one thick and one thin, all right? So I'm going to draw it and then I'll hold it up nice and close so you can see it. We're going to be writing out all the notes of the D major scale, and we want a clef sign on every single piece of staff. So all the way to the left, I'm going to draw 2 lines, thusly. And then you're going to draw a shape that goes like this. You find the middle line and start by drawing like a sideways V, like this. And then we're going to be drawing 2 backward C's that start from the tip and curve around. Watch how I do it, and then I'll give you a close-up view of it. I start at this one and I curve back around. And then I start at this one and I curve back around. So I end up with a shape like this. That's a pretty fun sign. I like how it's sort of symmetrical too. All right, we are going to draw one of those on every single piece of staff. And I'm going to go, you know, as fast as I can go doing that. And then if you fall behind, you just pause the video until you're done with that. All right, so here we go to the next piece of staff. We draw 2 lines. We draw a little V. We draw a C shape this way and a C shape that way. Now, I personally don't think that my second one is as pretty as my first one, and I am not going to redraw it. I'm not going to spend all kinds of time trying to make every clef sign perfect, because that will make this craft take forever, and that just makes it less fun. All right, so I turn and I draw 2 lines. I draw a little V, a backwards C, and a backwards C. Going on to the next one. Okay, so now you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, and then I'm going to turn it and do the next little section. And then the next one. All right, so now I've got 6 of them and I'm ready to do my last little segment here. Oh, that one looks a little bit funny. Well, you know, I used to do these things in pencil and try to make them really perfect. And then I just discovered that I was spending an awful lot of time trying to make my clef signs look perfect and less time writing music and less time practicing or doing the more important things. And I also want to keep in mind it's just a craft. All right, so now I have all of my clef signs in. That looks super snappy. And now we are going to draw in the notes of a D major scale. And we're going to start with your open D, and I want you to memorize where that is right now forever, because then you'll be able to kind of find everything in relationship to that. And I'll show you what we do with the secret pocket. All right, so in your clef sign, we drew this little V shape that pointed to the center line. Well, the center line is a C for you. So that makes the space right above it a D. So we're going to draw our first note. We're going to use whole notes for all these because they're the easiest to draw in there. So we are going to find the space right above that middle line, and we're going to draw a whole note that takes up that entire space like this. Okay? Now, when you are ultimately playing with your fortune teller, you want the answer to what note that is to be in the secret pocket up here. So open that tab, and first we're going to write the letter name of that note, which you know is a D because it's your open D. And then we are going to write what finger and what string that's played with. Well, an open D is 0 fingers, and then we'll give it a little slash, and that's 0 fingers on the D string. All right, so now when we're playing with it, which I'll show you how to do in a moment, the test part of it will be here, the quiz part, and then the answer is on the inside. Okay, so close that. And since we're doing a scale, that means that every time we want to go to the next note, we're going to go up a line or a space and draw a whole note there. So if the D was in this space, that means that an E, my first finger on the D string, is the next line up. So let's draw a whole note that goes around that line. So now it looks like the line is going straight through it. Okay? And then we open the secret pocket. We write the letter name of that note. It is an E. And then that is played with 1 finger on the D string. All right, so now note looks like this, answer looks like that. Close your tab. Rotate your fortune teller. So the next note is in the next space up from that. So now we're in the very top space that still has lines completely around it here. Okay, and this note frequently in your beginning orchestra class is going to be called an F sharp. And for right now, you can just kind of memorize what that is, and then your teacher's probably going to explain to you over time why this is called sharp. For now, you just memorize it, all right? And a sharp sign looks like this, which you guys might think, oh, that looks like a hashtag or a number sign, but in music, that is called a sharp. So let's write the answer in our secret pocket. So open this up. We wrote the sharp before the note, but when we write it up here, we're going to write F and then the sharp sign. And then this is 2 fingers on the D string. So there's the note and the answer. All right, close that up. Let's write our next note in. So this next note is on the very top line here. So I've circled the top line. My whole note looks like this. The top line is going right through it. And this is, of course, a G. So in our secret pocket, we're going to write the letter G. And that is 3 fingers on the D string. Okay, so now we've closed out the D string notes for now. We're going to not use 4th finger in this particular craft. All right, so we're going to close that, rotate the fortune teller. So now we are up to the A string, and the A string is so high on your instrument that the way we write it, the note sits on top of the staff. So let me draw it and then give you a little close-up. So it's a space note, but it's on top of the staff. All right, and then in our secret pocket, we write an A, and that is played with 0 fingers on the A string. Just like that. All right. So now we have to do this thing from here on out where we add ledger lines. Ledger lines means that we're adding additional lines to the staff. It's like putting a little extension on the ladder. So let me close this tab and let's do the next one. So for this one, I've already run out of lines and spaces. So I'm going to draw an extra line and then I'm going to draw my whole note around that. It kind of looks like Saturn, the planet, with rings going around it. Okay, and then that one is of course called a B because it's 1 step up from the open A, so that's 1 finger on the A string. Okay, so we had open A, 1 finger on A. All right, rotate again. You're going to need another ledger line here, so draw that little extra line. And if you feel like you're running out of space, I actually have a little cheat for that in just a moment that I'll show you. All right, so this one, we've already drawn a note on our ledger line. So this one, the note is going to sit on top of the ledger line, just like the A sat on top of the open or the regular staff here. This one sits on top of the ledger line. This is another one of those notes that in your beginning orchestra class is typically going to be a sharp note. So we're going to put a little sharp sign next to it because this one is called C sharp. So in your pocket up here, let's write a C sharp, and that is played with 2 fingers on the A string. Okay. And then one more note, and then I'll show you what to do if you feel like you're running out of space here, okay? So open the tab first, draw 2 ledger lines. Oh my gosh, so much extension on the ladder, all right? And now we're gonna draw our whole note on that top ledger line. Okay, and this one is a high D. So we're gonna label it a D. And this is the D that's played with 3 on the A string. Okay, so it looks like this. All right, now let's say that you drew that and you can't see yours anymore. Maybe you open this up and when you fold it up, you realize that the secret pocket is covering yours a little bit. All you do is you take your scissors and you trim the tiniest little sliver off of here. You know, as much as you need to be able to see your note without revealing the answer, okay? A craft is always an adaptable thing. You can just make it whatever you want, you know? So if you ran out of space and this is kind of leaking into the top, don't remake the whole craft for heaven's sake. Just trim a little bit off of here. So now we have your open D string, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Let's play with our craft. All right, so hold these little tabs down and fold, hold and fold, hold and fold. If you don't hold those little tabs in, when you fold it up, they might get a little crumply. That's easy to fix. You can just open it up and uncrumple them, but you can save yourself a step by doing that. So now I'm holding it here and I fold it this way. Maybe give it a good hard crease. The more that you use your fortune teller, the easier it gets to use, all right? Then pop it up so you can see that top, pinch those corners and push together. All right, and I'm kind of giving the fold a little extra crease here to make it do what I want it to do and have nice even creases, all right? And then I open up the tabs. Open this one. Now I'm holding that with this hand while I open this one. And then this one, all right? And now, oh, I want it to say viola. There we go. All right, so now I'm holding it. And here is how you play with a friend or a parent or whoever you're playing along with, all right? So your partner picks a word. You say, pick a word, and they pick one. Well, they're gonna pick viola, obviously, because it's the viola one. All right, they might pick something else, that's okay. All right, and then you spell it out loud together. V-I-O-L-A. And you're working that fortune teller at the same time, all right? So now we've opened up to this. And you say to pick a note, all right? And then whatever note they pick, you're gonna have to say the rhythm while you're working the fortune teller, all right? So let's say that they pick this one. Well, let's see, my orchestra teacher taught me that goes 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Or maybe my orchestra teacher is saying, goody, goody, stop, stop. Or Mississippi hot dog. However you say it in your class, you're gonna work your fortune teller. Mississippi hot dog. Okay? Oh man, we ended up back here. Look at that. Well, now they pick another one. But this time, instead of counting it out, you open up your fortune teller. All right, they picked this one, so you go like this. And then you point at the note and you say, what note is that and how do you play it? Boy, that's a tough one. It's got one of those sharp signs, so that helps me out, I think. So I think that is a C sharp. And if that's a C sharp, that means I play it with 2 fingers on the A string. Am I correct? Ta-da! I got the answer correct. And if you got the answer right, you have to celebrate in some way. You can celebrate with a high five. You can celebrate with a cheer. Yay! But you have to somehow celebrate the fact that the person got it correct. Of course, if they get it wrong, you just play again. There's no penalties for getting it wrong. All right, happy practicing.